Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything. I'm coming at you with another Wargaming in Miniature video. In this video, I'm going to do a tutorial on how to paint eyes. Now, this technique, I'm going to be using an eye beast from Reaper. Now, I'm going to be painting all these little eye stock eyes, but I'm also going to be painting the main eye in the middle. Now, I want you to know that this technique can be used on any model, any monster. It could be used on your World War II guys. It could be used on your fantasy knights. It could be used on elves. This technique can be used on any eye. And this technique is so easy. It's just astonishing that some people do eyes in other ways. I'm going to show you this technique now. I'm going to show you the main technique on this large eye right here, mainly so that you can see the technique and not so that I'm painting it on these little eye stalks. I am going to do the eye stalks, but by painting it on the eye stalks, you might not actually get a good view of what that technique is. But I'm going to focus on this large eye right here to show you the eye technique. Now, I've primed this model and I'm waiting for the mouth to dry before I continue, because I am going to paint this entire model as well. All right, guys, now remember we're going to be doing the eyes. This is a tutorial for the eyes. But what I want to do is I want to paint the model completely, especially around the eyes. Normally on most models you're painting flesh. But in this case, the flesh is going to be purple. I'm going to go ahead and paint it with some neon purple, and then we'll do some washing. And then I'll go back and we'll do the eyes. Now, I want you to know that when I paint this purple onto this model, I don't care if I cover the eyes or not. I'm going to try to avoid it. But if I do cover the eyes, it doesn't matter, because I'm going to go back later and paint the eyes. And I will show you that technique in a minute. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint the entire model. Now, this is going to take a minute to dry. Okay, so let's let this dry, and then I'll be right back. All right, now there's a number of eyes. So what I've done is here, I'm going with some white, just pure straight white, and I'm going to hit the ends of the eye stalks, right, with white. And I'm basically just painting big circles on the ends of the eye stalks. I'm not even trying to be careful. I'm not even trying to keep them in the lines or anything. I'm just painting a big white circle at the end of the eye stalk. This is part of the eye painting technique. And I will explain what's going on once I get all these circles painted on. A lot of people will try to get all fancy and like stay in the lines and not, they'll be very anal about it and use the smallest brush they can find. And what that is, that's fine. You can do whatever you want, but you're wasting your time and you're causing yourself undue stress. Don't worry about all that. I'll show you a technique that's going to make it all good. Okay, I can see this eye stalk is not fully covered. Okay. And there's a couple of ones that are like dangling on the ground. Now these I want to kind of not paint the green. I don't mind any of the purple, but I just don't want to paint on the green because I don't want it to have to go back and paint the green again. And I kind of don't like the way Reaper makes this eye monster use 3 of its eye stalks to hold it up. I understand that, it's got to hover up in the air. I just don't like the eye stalk method, because what it's doing is it's like dragging 3 of its eyes on the ground while it floats. It just doesn't look right, in my opinion. It's just my opinion. Okay, so all the eye stalks have just white blops at the end of them. And also, you see there's one main anti-magic eye right in the middle. This is where the technique really comes into play, and because I picked this model specifically to teach this because of the large eye. If you're painting a model, you're going to try to get all inside the lines and all that stuff, and only paint the eye, a certain, and not paint the eyelids and stuff like that. Well, I'm telling you to ignore that process. Okay, I'm telling you, don't even worry about it. Just do this. You see what I did? I just took some white paint and I put it in a circle right across the eye. And I don't care what I get it on haphazard. I don't give a crap. I just paint the whole thing. And I want to make sure, because it's such a large eye, that there's no brush strokes. So I dab. Not dab. I dab my white on so the eyes can dry evenly in a kind of a smoothie type look. Okay, so we're going to let this monstrosity dry, and then we'll come back to him. All right, while this guy is drying, I thought I'd do a close-up so you can kind of see a couple of things that I did on purpose. You can see that I painted on, like when I just slapped the white on to his eye, I did that on purpose because I wanted to show you that you don't have to be anal about it. You can just slap some white paint in the general vicinity of his eye. And you can do this on a small model as well. You can do this on a human. You can do this on a 15 millimeter figure. You can do it on any kind of model. And then I've got the white on the eye stalks, and all I did was just slap some white paint on there. I'll show you next up in just a minute. All right, guys, so now what I did was I put a drop of black paint into my palette so that you can see. Now, I use black for my, what do they call it, the iris, or the what have you, of the model. And I use a fairly big brush here. Now, this is a 0 brush. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, and you notice that's not really even a dot. It's more like a teardrop. It's a line up and down is what it is. Let me give another line up and down. And another line up and down. And another one. I'm just going to do lines up and down on all these eye stalks. Now, when you draw this, you want it to be, especially when you're drawing just straight up and down lines, you want it to go from above the white to below the white, right? You want it to cover the entire eye socket, straight up and down, just like that. I know you think that's more like a dragon or a cat, right? Let me finish the technique, and then you will be able to see. All right, so now let's take a look at the center eye. Do I want to make it a round eye iris, or do I want to make it a straight up and down line? Well, guess what? Either one will make it look like a round iris. But because it is such a large eye, I do kind of have to modify my technique just slightly. But on a small eye, you'll see that you just do a straight line like that. That'd be fine. But on a big eye like this, I'm going to make it oval. Not oval. I'm going to kind of give it a half circle here. And you notice I painted from past the eyelid to over the eyelid. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Went around. Now I'm going to leave that white spot there. No, that would be kind of a cool effect if I did, but I'm not going to. Okay, so far so good. I'm going to let the black dry. It should only take a couple of seconds, and then we'll go on to the next step. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of that purple, and I'm going to go to each of my eye stalks, or my eye. When I get there, I'll show you. And I'm just going to draw a line across the eye stalk where the eyelid would be. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on the top. Okay, I'm going to do that on this guy. Now this purple that I'm putting down matches the eye stalk color. If you were doing a human, you would do the exact same thing. Where the eyelid would be, we stripe the bottom where the eyelid would be. And if you made any like heinous paints, you would paint the outside edges too, to give you just to fix any like over painting on the left and right of the eye as well. Okay. Okay, so when I get to the big eye stalk, you'll see the technique in all of its glory. Okay, so all the little bitty eye stalks are done. So let me show you the technique. It's pretty much the same technique. See where the mistake is on the white on the bottom eyelid? That's where you fix it. This is the time you fix it. And is there a mistake on the top? Doesn't look like it, but maybe just a little bit. You see how that eye was fixed like instantly just by doing that? Okay. All right, and that's how you do eyes. And you can do those eyes either on simple small, 25 millimeter models. You can do it on 15s, 28 millimeters. You can do it on your monsters if you want. But yeah, it's a real easy technique to do eyes, and it works on small models as well. All right, guys, that was my tutorial on the eyes. Now you can kind of take a look at how that turned out. Remember that mistake I made? It's gone. You don't see it. And then when I highlighted the model, it really covered everything. And then the eye stalks. See how they got their own little eye? Okay, so that's the main technique for painting eyes. You can do that on, believe it or not, you could do that on the smallest little model. All you need basically is a white dot, a black dot, and then the top and the bottom painted flesh tone. Simple. All right, guys, thanks for coming out and watching this tutorial on how to paint eyes, and I'll catch you next time.